Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. It's another day on Capitol Hill and another day for me to talk with all of you about what's going on. And also I have a new task for all of you. I know we've been talking about making sure that you use your voice and that you make calls, especially for those of us who live in El Paso. We have 2 Republican United States senators. It's very important that they hear from you. It's important that you call the White House and you let the White House know how you feel about the efforts underway by Elon Musk and Donald Trump to basically decimate the federal government in order to provide tax cuts to billionaires. But what I wanted to talk about today is a couple things. Number one, the Department of Education, because we know that that is in the crosshairs right now for Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and there's a threat that the Department of Education will be dismantled. So I want to talk a little bit about that. But I also want to talk about another idea I have about you using your voice. First, let's talk about the Department of Education. It's pretty shocking, but I have seen folks on social media, the president's supporters and the Elon Musk fans championing the elimination of the Department of Education. I just want to remind everyone what the Department of Education actually does. Among many things, it helps impoverished schools. And so those schools are generally labeled what's called Title I schools. And in a community like El Paso, I think virtually every school in every one of our 9 school districts is a Title I school. So that means the loss of billions of dollars for those schools to help with programs that help the community uplift these students. It also would eliminate programs for children with disabilities. Last night, I had a tele-town hall meeting with my constituents, and one of our callers is a federal employee whose job and whose livelihood is at risk because of what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing. But she also has a child with disabilities who is attending our public school system, and her family stands to be doubly impacted in a really awful, terrible way. And she is living under a lot of stress right now, and I can only imagine the sleepless nights she must be having thinking about how all of this will impact her family. But those kids with disabilities are exactly who are being helped through the Department of Education. For any parents out there with kids with Pell Grants, it's a direct threat on those Pell Grants. For anybody who has student loans, and a lot of Americans, millions of Americans have student loans, what would that mean for the servicing of your student loan? It would likely be privatized, and you would likely have fewer consumer protections as a result. So would a private company allow for a forbearance program if you lose your job? Would a private company keep your interest rate manageable? Those are all unknowns. And let's not forget that when President Biden wanted to forgive student loans across the board, federal student loans, Republicans challenged him in court and said he couldn't do that. He didn't have the power to do that. But those same Republicans are now cheering on Donald Trump and Elon Musk for a real, true, egregious overreach, which is the dismantling of the Department of Education. I mean, the hypocrisy is boundless. But that really takes me to my next topic, which is a suggestion that I have for all of you. Last night, as I mentioned last night during my tele-town hall, I heard examples of how my constituents are being impacted or could potentially be impacted by what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing. And it made me realize how powerful your stories are, how powerful what you are living through is in terms of making sure that Americans know the impact and the real life consequences of what's going on. And one of the big challenges for us is breaking through to Americans who don't read newspapers, who don't watch the news, and who are willing to believe anything that Donald Trump and Elon Musk say on social media. So how do we combat that misinformation and disinformation? That's how we combat it. We need you to tell your story. And I will tell you, I recognize that for many of you, it might be risky, right? You're afraid that it could make you a target by your employer or by the federal government. I get it. I don't want anyone to do anything that would make you feel uncomfortable or at risk. But for those of you who feel like you want to tell your story, just as they use social media to promote misinformation and lies, we need to use social media to be truth tellers. And you all are the most powerful truth tellers when you are living through the consequences of what they're doing every single day. So if you feel like you want to tell your story, tell your story. Do a Facebook or Instagram live video or record yourself and post it and share it with us. Help us tell your story as well and amplify your story. If you look on my stories, you'll see the link for sharing whatever it is that you want to share with us. But post your story, tell your truth, help us break through the lies and the misinformation, and help us ensure that the American public understands everything that is at stake. Because at the end of the day, we need just a handful of Republicans to have the courage to stand with us, to stand with the American people, to stand with Democrats, protect the Constitution, protect the federal workforce, protect Americans who've earned their benefits. It will only take a few Republicans. So they need to hear your stories. They need to know the consequences and what's at stake. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to keep talking to those Republicans as well, trying to talk sense into them. We're going to keep working through the courts. We're going to keep sounding the alarm, doing everything that we can, filing legislation, everything we can to stop this awfulness. But if you want to help, that's how you can help. Thanks, you all. I'll be talking with you again soon.